At the start of the story, we see the main character, Jack, chilling on a passenger plane flying thousands of feet high. Suddenly, a fierce storm hits and strong winds start shaking the entire plane violently. Passengers without seatbelts slam against the ceiling with a loud crash. Luggage breaks loose all around, and oxygen masks drop down, causing chaos inside the cabin. Then, with a deafening roar, the plane's right wing explodes horribly, and the back part breaks off and flies away into the sky, making some passengers fall down. The rest of the plane. The plane crashed into the dense jungle in just a few seconds, bursting into huge flames. After a while, Jack regained consciousness, suffering from a head injury and severe pain all over his body. Staggering to his feet, he saw the smoke and fire and, terrified, ran through the jungle until he reached the shore. That's when he realized he was stranded on a mysterious island, cut off from the rest of the world. Just then, he heard someone's painful screams coming from the jungle. A doctor by profession, Jack felt compelled to rush back toward the fire. There, amidst the scattered wreckage all around, he saw the bloodied people struggling and quickly pushed his own fear aside to start giving first aid to the injured. At that moment, a huge, heavy wing of the plane was about to crash down on a pregnant woman trapped underneath. Seeing the danger, Jack didn't hesitate for a second. Without caring for his own life, he dove toward her and pulled her away just moments before the wing came down. Right after that, the wing slammed into the ground with a loud crash, causing a massive explosion. The blast threw both of them quite a distance away, his own wounds. Ignoring the pain, Jack rushed again to save people, but by then most of the injured had died from the explosion. Seeing piles of bodies all around, a broken-hearted Jack stumbled into the jungle, bleeding, trying to stitch up his own wounds. But when he couldn't reach one injury, a girl named Kat showed up and offered to sew it up for him. Without any anesthesia during the stitching, Kat was shocked to see Jack didn't show any sign of pain. As darkness fell over the island, Jack looked at the broken parts of the plane. Kat hurriedly tells Case that the cockpit or front part might still be intact, and if they can reach there, they can use the signal transmitter to contact the rescue team. Kat excitedly says she saw smoke rising from a distant valley during the day, probably where the cockpit crashed. As Kat insists on going there right away, Jack starts to feel uneasy. Suddenly, a loud and terrifying roar echoes from the deep jungle nearby, and massive trees come crashing down to the ground. A huge, monstrous shape appears. Even though it was moving toward the monster camp, it stopped short, and after a while, the place fell silent again. The next morning, everyone in the camp started talking about that savage creature from the night before, calling it a dinosaur or some ancient demon. Jack knew that if they just sat around waiting, everyone was dead. So to survive, he took Charlie and Kate with him and headed for the cockpit. Just a little way into the jungle, a heavy downpour started, making it tough to find their way. Meanwhile, the people back at the camp realized that the fierce creature from the night was out hunting again. It happened 3 people deep in the jungle had no idea about it. After searching for a long time, they spotted the front part of the plane hidden behind some bushes. When they went inside, they found that all the first-class passengers were dead. Jack tried to break open the locked cockpit door using a piece of iron, and as soon as the door opened, a bloody corpse slipped out from inside. After a while, when things around had quieted down a bit, suddenly the pilot sitting in his seat opened his eyes and looked around. At first, Jack was startled, but after looking more closely, he realized the pilot was still alive. He's still alive. While Jack was giving him first aid, the pilot revealed the real, terrifying truth behind this mysterious plane crash. According to the pilot, they're now on an unknown island, thousands of kilometers away from the mainland or any familiar place, an island that might not even be on the map. Suddenly, the whole plane started shaking like an earthquake. When the pilot moved right up to the window to see what was outside, in that very instant, something invisible, eerie, and terrifying broke the glass and grabbed him. Suddenly, it pulls them outside. The pilot's sudden and gruesome death turns the whole situation into something even scarier than a graveyard. But before they can shake off their fear, the plane starts trembling again with a rumbling sound. Actually, the branch the cockpit was stuck on breaks off from the monster's hit and crashes down to the ground. The violent jolt throws all 3 inside flying in different directions. But Jack knew if they panicked now, they'd all die. Without wasting a single moment, he grabs the broken signal device lying on the ground and Kat. And he grabbed Charlie and started sprinting like crazy into the jungle. That terrifying roar from the monster chasing them only made their fear inside grow 1,000 times. But strangely, for some unknown reason, the mysterious creature didn't keep following them. After running quite a distance, when the roaring sound died down, the three of them sat down in one spot, panting heavily, finally letting out a sigh of relief before heading back to their camp. But as soon as they stepped into the camp, a new problem was waiting for them. They found two guys grabbing each other by the collar, ready to fight. There's a huge brawl going on. Seeing things getting out of hand, Jack and Michael immediately jump in, grabbing the two and pulling them apart. When they start questioning to find out what's going on, they learn that a passenger named James is angrily accusing this guy Carly of being behind the whole plane crash. Apparently, the part of the plane that broke off midair was where Carly was sitting. Miraculously, everyone else in that section died, but Carly came back completely unscathed. That's when Kate shows up. That gave everything away. She pulled the device out of the bag and showed everyone they'd found the signal device in the jungle. If they wanted to get rescued from this island, they had to fix this complicated device no matter what. Just then, to everyone's surprise, Carly stepped forward. With a firm voice, she said she could fix it. Actually, Carly wasn't just any ordinary person. She used to be a communications officer in the army, and the signal device Jack found in the jungle. That was a military-grade machine too. So fixing it wasn't really that impossible for Curly. Without wasting a second, she grabbed her tools and got to work, and within just a little while, she miraculously lit up the broken display on the device. In other words, the machine started working again, but their happiness didn't last long. Looking worried while staring at the screen, Curly said the battery backup inside the machine was almost completely drained. Basically, the charge was nearly zero. If they wanted to take this last chance to rescue, the team wants to send an SOS or a help signal, but to do that, they have to take the device to the highest point on the island. The signal won't reach the sky if sent from beneath the thick jungle. The moment they start heading toward that rugged mountain, Cat looks like he's about to bleed out completely. That's because just a little while ago, he barely escaped alive from the mouth of a jungle monster. And now, going back through that same jungle to climb the steep mountain is basically inviting death. But with everything they're facing all around, there was no way for them to just sit back and do nothing. So Kate pushed down her fears and, without telling Jack anything, took the other 4 people from the camp and headed into that dangerous jungle. But just a little after they left, James secretly followed them. Even there, James couldn't keep quiet. He kept nagging Carly about the plane crash as they went along. Enduring James's constant mental torture, all the anger Carly had been holding inside finally exploded like a volcano. Right then, from the bushes behind them came a strange, heavy. Then this hair-raising sound echoes through the whole jungle, making everything shake. The moment Carly, Cat, and the others see this, they start sprinting like crazy to save Jan's life. But the craziest part was James's reaction. He didn't move an inch from where he was. No fear showed on his face at all. It was like he'd been waiting for this moment. Just as the others got a good distance away to safety, shots rang out one after another, hitting the animal right in its weakest spot. Bang on. Everyone's eyes popped out because it wasn't some jungle monster or alien. It was a huge alligator, snapping turtle, and a blood-covered polar bear, like an Arctic bear. Suddenly, the whole island fell into a strange silence. But the real shock hadn't come yet. Everyone's attention shifted from the polar bear straight to James, who was wandering around a regular passenger plane with a loaded gun tucked in his jacket pocket. As people started eyeing him suspiciously and firing questions one after another, James quickly tried to take control of the situation. He cleans up. He claims that after arriving on this island, he found this gun scavenged from the dead body of a police officer trapped in the plane wreckage. People start to doubt him less, and without wasting any more time, they head back up towards the mountain peak. Finally, as soon as they reach the top, Carl's signal device miraculously gets full network coverage and full signal. Seeing this, a joyful smile spreads across Carl's face, and he quickly tries to send a signal to the Global Channel's rescue team. But as soon as he tries to match the frequency, he noticed something that sent chills down his entire body. He realized that on this channel, there was already a signal being continuously broadcast from somewhere else. That meant, on this deserted, cursed island, besides them, there were other people who had been sending out a help signal to the outside world for quite some time. It made no sense at all for anyone else to be on such a huge, desolate island. Just as everyone was sinking deeper into this mystery, suddenly, a woman's voice crackled through the speaker of the signal device. "Pay attention." After listening, Kat realizes it's actually French. That means some French ladies are talking, and they immediately tell Cat to quickly speak with them and find out their location since Cat knows French. But just as Cat presses his ear to the speaker and listens, within seconds his smile disappears completely. That's because there wasn't any live rescue team talking on the other side. It was an old recording playing in a loop, where a woman is just crying and saying, "Save us, they're killing everyone." Right then, suddenly, the signal completely cuts out. Silence falls all around again, like a graveyard. Curly quickly checks the device's frequency code and timestamp, then discovers a terrifying and hair-raising truth that shakes everyone to their core. With a trembling voice, Curly tells everyone that this radio signal or recording isn't from today or yesterday. It's been continuously broadcasting on this island for over 16 years. And in all that time, no rescue team or anyone from the outside world has responded to the signal. The meaning is clear: on this island, once they set foot there, the whole world seems to forget about them forever. After learning this harsh and dark truth, everyone's heart starts trembling inside. Right then, a bunch of questions buzzed in their heads. What exactly is that invisible monster in the jungle? How did a polar bear end up in this scorching jungle? And the biggest question, did their plane really crash because of some normal mechanical failure? Or was there some unseen force on this island that pulled them in and caused the crash? All these strange and supernatural happenings threw everyone into a sea of utter terror. They started to realize there might be some terrifying secret hidden deep in this island that even their wildest imaginations can't match. After all that, everyone comes down from the mountain, their hearts broken and full of fear, and heads back to the camp. Once at the camp, Jack and Charlie calm everyone down with a fake excuse about signal disappearing. But in the middle of the night, Michael's pet dog starts barking loudly towards the forest, spreading intense fear. Jack grabs a torch, James switches on the plane's battery-powered searchlight, and when they shine the light into the jungle, they see dozens of huge, fierce wild boars hiding there. They do, but instead of attacking, the wild boars see the light and run deep into the jungle. The next morning, when the plane runs out of leftover food, James Marger accuses a passenger named Oldham of stealing, and things quickly escalate into a fight. Jack breaks them up, but he knows if they don't get food soon, people will start turning on each other. Just then, a sharp knife flies out from the jungle and sticks into a tree trunk. A mysterious man named John steps forward and offers to hunt the wild boars, pulling out a set of professional hunting knives from his suitcase and showing them off in front of everyone. Then, John, James, and Michael set off deep into the jungle, tracking the footprints of a wild boar. After searching for a long time, John spots fresh boar tracks on the ground and quietly marks the animal's spot behind some bushes. According to John's master plan, Michael tries to surround the boar from the side, but he gets so excited that he yells out loud. The boar charges straight at them. John manages to dive out of the way just in time, but Michael gets shoved into the mud by the boar's impact. Luckily, the boar runs off into the jungle, so Michael only gets a minor injury and survives. While Kat and Michael want to head back to camp, John decides to go deeper into the jungle alone to continue hunting. They get lost. Kat climbs up a huge tree hollow to hold the signal device higher while carrying the injured Michael back. Meanwhile, at the other end, when John hears the wild boar's screams and moves closer, the sound suddenly turns into a horrifying scream. John drops his knife in fear, and the invisible monster suddenly stands right in front of him. Kat and Michael return to camp and tell Jack that John might be dead. Just then, the bushes behind them rustle, and everyone thinks the monster is attacking. But when Jack steps forward with a stick, everyone's shocked to see John, covered in blood. He returns unharmed, carrying that huge wild boar on his shoulder. At night, when everyone gathers around the fire, Michael whispers to John, asking about the monster. Even though John says in a normal voice that he didn't see anything besides the boar, Michael can read the hidden fear in his eyes. The next morning, when the plane's drinking water runs out completely, a new crisis arises. To contact the rescue team, Charlie drags his injured leg and climbs up to the mountain peak with the military signal device. But just as he's about to match the frequency, someone unknown hits him on the neck from behind. He knocks him out. Instead of killing Charlie, the attacker just smashes the signal device against a rock, shattering it to pieces that scatter into the air. When Charlie comes to, it becomes clear to him that there's someone else on this island who doesn't want the survivors to ever make it back to the world they know. The next morning, Charlie goes looking around the island and finds a thick steel cable buried under the sand at the shore, one end dipping into the sea, the other vanishing into the dense jungle. Following the cable, he ventures a bit into the jungle. Curly gets caught in a deadly trap made of thin iron wires lying on the ground and suffers a serious accident. A sharp tree branch shoots forward like a spring and pierces his leg muscle, causing him intense pain. He pulls it out but then faints from heavy blood loss. That night, a mysterious figure comes and cuts his bindings. When he wakes up the next morning, he sees the sky dark and cloudy, and fearing disaster at the camp, he starts running in long strides. Meanwhile, at the camp, pregnant Ina wakes up in the middle of the night to find her unborn baby missing and chases after the sound of a crying baby, heading towards a figure with black eyes. She had a weird vision of the future. When Ina tried to pull back the clothes inside the baby carriage in front of her, she screamed after seeing not a baby but some raw pieces of flesh. Hearing her scream, Charlie rushed over and calmed Ina, who had lost her mind. That morning, Jack checked Ina's hand and saw blood oozing from a nail injury caused by fear. Everyone thought it was just Ina's nightmare, but that very night, Ina woke up feeling like someone was stabbing her in the stomach. Jack didn't find any marks on her belly and called it a pregnancy hallucination, giving her medicine. Angry at Jack's disbelief, Ina left the camp alone in the middle of the night and disappeared into the forest. He takes off and Charlie runs after him to bring him back. When Ina starts having a sharp pain in his stomach in the jungle, Charlie heads back to the camp to call Jack. But on the way he runs into James and sends him to get Jack. Just after Charlie returns to Ina, James comes out of the jungle alone. Jack wasn't with him and he was staring at Ina with his weapons drawn. Right then, Charlie gets back to camp and tells Jack that someone else is hiding on the island to destroy them. Just then, Old Ham comes in, out of breath, with explosive news that there was one more passenger who survived the plane crash. His name was James. Jack realizes that James, who's been with them all this time, isn't actually a passenger but Deep's invisible enemy. Jack and John quickly rush into the jungle to find Anna and Charlie spot signs of a struggle and understand they've disappeared. While searching, Jack finds Charlie's torn clothes on the ground near a swamp. Seeing two different paths ahead, they decide to split up and search separately. In the rain, Jack hears Anna's cries and starts climbing Kangha Hill, but slips and falls. That's when James appears right in front of him. Charlie threatens to bury Gianto alive. When a fierce fight breaks out between the two, clever James knocks Jack out with a brutal beating and leaves. A few minutes later, at Kate's call, Jack comes to and despite all the footprints being wiped out, he moves forward alone. After a lot of searching, they find Charlie hanging from a tree. They bring him down and check he's still alive, but there's no sign of Anna anywhere. Meanwhile, the bald guy keeps searching for Anna for hours on end, taking Sam along. He stays, but gradually the weather starts to turn bad. Even though Sam suggests going back, the guy refuses to listen. He decides to keep looking for Anna and tells Sam to head back to the camp alone. As they say goodbye, he throws his only flashlight towards Sam, but Sam fails to catch it. The flashlight falls into the bushes, and immediately after, there's a loud sound like metal hitting something. Hearing that, the bald guy gets suspicious. He quickly rushes to the bushes and starts digging through the dirt. After a while, he spots a big iron plate hidden underground. To be sure, he scratches the soil around it with a knife to check. Then they realize the area underneath is completely hollow. Seeing this, Sam is amazed. The bald guy excitedly says that they've finally found what they've been searching for all this time. After that, the two of them quickly start digging away the soil, but they still don't realize the huge danger they're about to unleash. The next morning, once the dirt is cleared, a massive mysterious bunker is revealed right beneath this deserted island. They were amazed trying to figure out who built that strange bunker. To uncover its secrets, Sam sneaked in with a crowbar. Together they tried to pry open the bunker's hatch, but the door was so tough that not even a scratch appeared on it. Seeing this, the bald guy joked, "Looks like this bunker was made from Iron Man's armor." After trying hard and failing, they decided to head back to camp for now. On the way back, Sam kept thinking that everyone should be told about the bunker, otherwise, they'd just be heading back empty-handed. Others might be suspicious at first, but the bald guy outright rejects the offer. He absolutely doesn't want anyone else to know about the bunker. Eventually, Sam agrees to it. However, he makes it clear that he won't keep it a secret from his sister. After a lot of pleading, the guy agrees to that too. But just as Sam trusts him and tries to move forward, suddenly he's hit from behind. In an instant, he falls unconscious to the ground. When he comes to, he finds his whole body tied up tight with ropes. Obstructed, right ahead, the bald guy was calmly sitting and making some strange medicine. Seeing this, Sam got scared. He quickly promised not to tell anyone about the bunker, but the guy didn't listen at all. Instead, he grabbed Sam's head firmly, applied that mysterious medicine on his wound, then started packing his stuff to leave. Before going, he threw a knife towards Sam and walked off toward the camp without looking back even once. Sam kept calling out to him, but the guy didn't turn around. Meanwhile, Maria tried to reach the knife, but she was tied up so tightly that even the slightest movement made the ropes pull tighter, almost like her shoulder could pop out. Feeling helpless, she started yelling loudly for help. Just then, a terrifying sound echoed from the forest. Sam looked around, but the noise disappeared in an instant. He thought maybe it was all in his head, but after a while he heard his sister's screams. Before he could make sense of anything, suddenly a terrifying roar shook the jungle. That's when Sam was sure the mysterious monster had grabbed his sister too. Realizing she was in danger, he didn't waste any time. Despite the intense pain and risking further injury to his shoulder, he stretched out his hand and somehow managed to grab the knife. The next moment, Sam cut through the rope and sprinted toward the source of the noise. After running a bit, he found Kelly under a big tree. He immediately went over and started cutting her ropes. Right then, the mysterious monster sensed their presence and quickly moved forward. He comes, but Sam acts fast and manages to free Kelly. Then the two of them run towards the jungle to save their lives. The problem was, no matter how fast they ran, they weren't faster than the monster, so they hid in a nearby bush. After a while, when it got quiet, Sam peeks outside, but the monster is gone. Once things calm down, Kelly asks him why she was tied up. Sam avoids the question and wants to head back to camp. Annoyed by Kelly's constant questions on the way, he finally reveals the secret of the bunker. Just then, the monster showed up again. Scared, they ran and reached an open area with nowhere to hide. Right there, the monster grabbed Kelly and attacked fiercely in an instant. Kelly's screams shook the whole place. Sam ran like crazy, but the monster disappeared with Kelly. Later, by the riverbank, Sam found bloodstains and saw Kelly lying on a rock not far away. But when he got closer, he realized Kelly's body was terribly mutilated, blood everywhere. Seeing this, Sam broke down and vowed to get revenge, especially against that bald guy. That night, coming back to the camp, he sees the man sitting calmly by the fire. Angry, he attacks with a knife and they start fighting. Sam blames him for Kelly's death, but suddenly the man asks if Kelly really died, then why is there no blood on Sam's body? Sam freezes. He thinks Kelly's grip was on him, but there's no blood on his clothes. Just then, the man pushes him aside, and in the next moment they hear Kelly's voice from behind. Turning around, they see Kelly completely fine, collecting water like nothing ever happened, for just a moment. Sam feels like he might be going crazy. Then he starts to suspect that the bald guy's medicine on the wound on his head might be causing some problem. But the guy immediately denies it, saying it's just a regular antiseptic, nothing more. This only confuses Sam even more. Slowly, he begins to think that maybe the creatures on this mysterious island don't just hunt people, they might mess with their minds too. Meanwhile, something else strange happens. Anna, who's been missing for 2 weeks, is suddenly found unconscious in the jungle. The craziest thing was that there were no signs of any injury on their bodies. When he came to, all he could remember was that it wasn't a monster who kidnapped him and Charlie, but a mysterious guy named Jim. But after that, he had zero memories of what happened. Even more surprising was that Charlie's condition was the same. He had no memory of the time he was missing either. Everyone was shocked. Why did Jim kidnap them? What happened that wiped out such a huge chunk of their memories? They were determined to find answers to these questions. Everyone decides they have to find Jim. The next day, Charlie and the Korean guy sneak into the jungle to look for Jim, but soon after entering, the atmosphere changes. Strange noises start echoing all around. Suddenly, the Korean guy screams out in sharp pain and falls to the ground. Charlie looks around, shocked. Right then, Jim appears in front of them. Just by looking at him, it's clear he's behind the attack. Angry, Charlie grabs a stick and rushes toward him. But Jim, incredibly easily, he grabs him by the throat and lifts him into the air with just one hand. His strength wasn't like that of an ordinary person. Jim warned coldly, "You have to send the pregnant girl to me by tomorrow evening. If not, I'll kill everyone in the camp." With that threat, he left. As soon as Jim's message reached the camp, everyone's blood boiled. Now they were ready not just to find answers, but also to take revenge on Jim. Everyone was furious with him. But the problem was, Jim never showed up in person. He never fought face to face. He always attacked from the shadows. so chasing after him blindly was just asking for trouble. That's why they planned to catch him carefully beforehand. One trap after another was set up around the camp. Fires were lit at various spots for extra security. They even placed a guard every 10 meters. Altogether, the camp was turned into a little fortress. But despite all that, the danger didn't stop. The next morning, a dead body was found by the seaside. Someone had strangled and broken his neck with their hands, the worst part. It was a scary thing. Such a huge incident happened, but nobody noticed. As soon as the news spread, the whole camp was thrown into panic. Slowly, people started to believe that Anna was somehow involved, so everyone began to avoid her. But Anna herself had no idea. In the end, she went to Kelly to find out the whole truth. Meanwhile, Jack couldn't just sit quietly anymore. He took out a briefcase he'd hidden in the bushes. After making sure no one was following him, he opened the briefcase, and from inside, they pulled out 4 guns. Now they were armed, but the biggest question was how to find Jim. That's when Carly came up with a plan. If they used Anna as bait, Jim would come out himself. When Charlie heard the plan, he strongly objected, and a fight broke out between the two. But to everyone's surprise, Anna agreed herself. She didn't want to put anyone else in danger for her. According to the plan, since Charlie couldn't shoot, he had to stay back at the camp. Right then, the weather took a turn for the worse. Heavy rain started pouring down. Still, Ina kept moving deeper into the jungle alone, while the others hid around, keeping watch. Curly climbed up a tree, Jack took the front, and the bald guy stayed at the back. Everything was quiet for a while, but suddenly Jim showed up ahead. Ina panicked and started running, but since she was pregnant, she couldn't run fast. Right then, Jack jumped on Jim and knocked him to the ground. In the scuffle, Jim's gun slipped away. Jack knew if Jim got up, catching him again would be almost impossible, so he didn't waste any time. He tries to overpower him. Slowly, the others arrive, and the Jim is completely surrounded. Just then, James tries to give up his weapon and take control of the situation, but suddenly a gunshot rings out. Everyone is shocked and looks to see that it was James who fired, but Charlie. Secretly, Charlie picked up the pistol that Jack had dropped and shot Jim dead. With Jim's death, any chance of uncovering the mystery is gone. Later, everyone returns to the cave. When Jack asks Charlie, he admits that he killed Jim out of anger because he loves Ina. The next day, he goes to Carly to see that map where there were some strange numbers. Seeing them, the big guy's face changes. He realizes the plane crash wasn't just any ordinary accident. He remembers that many years ago, it was these exact numbers that helped him win a 15-crore lottery. Ever since that win, one weird and unlucky thing after another kept happening in his life. His dad's death, a fire at home, co-workers dying, and finally that plane crash. Putting it all together, he starts to believe these numbers are somehow deeply connected to the island. To find the truth, he sneaks out of the camp and follows the electric wires deep into the jungle. There he comes face to face with a dead wild boar and a hidden boar's den, but somehow manages to survive. Going even deeper, he realizes the monster is very close. Scared, he quickly returns to the camp and tells everyone what happened. That's when it becomes clear. The numbers he was looking for are actually engraved on the door of the bunker that the guy found. In other words, the real truth of the island is hidden inside that bunker. The next day, the bald guy and Sam decide to break open the bunker again, using the remains of the plane. Even when he hits the door with a handmade hammer, it doesn't break. The bald guy gets angry and kicks it, then Sam tells him to look down. He sees a sharp piece of metal stuck in his foot, but he doesn't feel any pain. That night after testing, he realizes he can't feel pain in his body at all. This makes him even more suspicious that there's something strange going on with the bunker. Right then, a plane is seen crashing from the sky. They think it's a rescue team, but it actually marks the start of a much bigger mystery. When they get to the crash site, they find a dead body. They find an old map and a plane stuck in a tree. Inside, Sam discovers a working wireless system, but just then the plane crashes. The bald guy screams, but Sam loses the chance to communicate. Eventually, the plane collapses, and the bald guy forgets his own injuries and runs over. He rescues Sam from under the wreckage and carries him on his back toward the camp. After about half an hour, they reach the camp. When Jack asks, the bald guy lies, saying Sam got hurt falling off a mountain. Jack immediately starts treating him, but during the treatment, the bald guy quietly leaves from there. He comes back to the bunker and sits alone, crying. Just then, a faint light flickers inside the bunker. It felt like the island itself was trying to send him a message. Meanwhile, Sam regains consciousness after a while. He tells Jack about the secret bunker. but before he can say more, he faints again. Jack notices Sam's swollen leg. It's clear this isn't just a simple injury, but because of the bald guy's lies, Jack misdiagnoses the problem and gives the wrong treatment. After a little while, The day after the tragic death, some good news arrived. A child was born, but everyone noticed that the bald guy still hadn't returned to the camp. On the day of Sam's last rites, he showed up all bloodied and confessed that he had purposely kept the news about the new plane from everyone. Hearing this, Jack got really furious, thinking that if Sam had been honest, maybe he could have been saved. In his anger, Jack grabs the bald guy by the throat. Things got heated, but the others quickly separated them. Later, Carly took him into the jungle and started questioning him. That's when the shocking truth comes out. Earlier, when Curly tried to send a radio signal, this tough guy attacked him and smashed the device. Curly immediately aimed his gun at him. Then the guy explains he was scared the monster would find out where they were because of the radio signal. Curly calms down a bit, but when he asks about the bunker, the man can't keep the truth any longer. Finally, he leads Jack and Curly to the bunker. Seeing it, Curly is stunned. He warns them that no one knows what's inside, so opening the door without any preparation could be dangerous. They even managed to build a boat to leave the island, but just before the journey, thick black smoke was seen rising from the middle of the island. Right then, a strange woman named Lisa came out of the jungle. She said the black smoke was a sign of an impending attack. When this happens, you either have to hide or be ready to face death. Hearing this, everyone panicked. Jack quickly started thinking about a safe shelter. Then he thought maybe the bunker could save them, but the door was still closed. Lisa said she knew of a place like that. They say explosives can be found there. Maybe using them, the bunker can be opened. With that hope, a team of 6 sets out on the journey. After a long trek, they reach an old pirate ship. Strangely, the ship was stuck deep inside the forest, far away from the shoreline. Inside, they find countless skeletons chained up. It looked like it had once been a slave ship. Eventually, they find a box full of explosives. But Norris, a chemistry teacher, warns that the nitroglycerin inside is extremely sensitive and could go off with the slightest shake. It could explode. Following his instructions, they start carrying the explosives very carefully. On the way back, black smoke is seen again. Suddenly, that mysterious monster appears right in front of them. Everyone starts running to save their lives, but the bald man walks toward the monster unusually calmly. In the next moment, the ground cracks open and the monster comes out, grabbing him and pulling him down. Jack quickly grabs his hand and tries to pull him up. But the monster's strength is unbelievable. Finally, the explosive is thrown into the hole, and After the explosion, the monster lets go of the bald guy and disappears into a cloud of black smoke. But surprisingly, even after surviving, he's not happy. Instead, he gets mad at Jack because he believed they shouldn't have hurt the monster. Meanwhile, Michael, his son Walt, James, and the Korean guy set off in a boat they made to leave the island. After going a bit, they spot a ship and fire signal flares hopping for help. The ship comes closer, but instead of helping, they want Walt and threaten to kill everyone. Things turn terrifying in an instant. It happens. In exchange for the shot, James falls into the sea. Michael is thrown away too. And they force Walt to come along. Before leaving, they scatter bombs and destroy the boat. Meanwhile, Jack directly questions the guy with the tattoo. Does he really want to protect the monster? The guy replies that the plane crash wasn't an accident at all. It was all part of some invisible force's plan. He believes all these events are happening to lead them to open the bunker and get to the truth. Whether you believe it or not, there's no point arguing. Finally, they plant explosives in front of the bunker. Just then, the guy's eyes landed again on those mysterious numbers. Just seeing them, he freaked out and begged to stop the explosion. But nobody listened to him. They set fire to the fuse. A few seconds later, a massive blast shook the whole area. Then, just as Jack and that other guy looked inside the bunker out of curiosity, their eyes instantly went wide with shock. In front of them was a deep darkness and a mysterious tunnel. The stairs inside led straight down underground into the darkness. But back then, no one could have imagined that this hatch wasn't just an ordinary door, but a gateway to some mystery that would change everyone's lives forever. At the same time, on some unknown part of the island, a stranger suddenly woke up to the constant ticking sound of a computer. He quickly went over to it and typed something. Every time he hit the execute button, the ticking sound stopped. Though it seemed like a simple task, this would later become the biggest mystery of the island. Then, the guy turned on the record player to listen to some music and got busy with his daily chores. He washed the dishes, worked out, took a bath, and made his breakfast. Everything seemed pretty normal, but behind this simple routine there was a strange secret hiding. Suddenly, the whole house shook, and the expression on his face changed as the music stopped. He quickly threw on some clothes, grabbed his gun, and moved toward a special camera system inside the house. Carefully, he tried to check what was going on outside, the camera slowly. As he wandered around and finally stopped at a spot, he was startled. Because standing there, not someone behind the camera, but Jack and Locke were waiting. He had no idea that meeting these people would turn his whole world upside down. Meanwhile, on the ground, Harley kept mumbling those mysterious numbers over and over. He felt like those numbers were the source of his bad luck, but soon it would become clear that a terrifying truth was hidden behind them. Jack noticed that the ladder going down into the hatch was broken, so right now, everyone was stuck there. Hiding was impossible. Locke tried to figure out how deep the lock was and thought the path wasn't too deep, but Jack was fully focused on going back into the cave to make sure everyone else was safe. Harley agreed with him, but Locke's curiosity kept growing day by day. He wanted to get inside the hatch at any cost to see what was hiding there. He felt like the island itself was pushing him to face the truth. This led to a pretty heated argument among the three of them, right until Kate's eyes caught a word written on the hatch. It said quarantine there. Seeing that everyone got this weird question in their minds, was this hatch meant to protect the people outside from whatever's inside, or to keep someone inside separate from the outside world? Back then it was just a word, but later on it would fill everyone with deep fear. For now no one had any answers, so they all decided to head back to the cave. On the way, Locke and Kate were walking together, while Jack and Hurley took a different path. As they walked, Locke tried again to explain the hatch to Kate. In his view, this island wasn't just an ordinary place. And there's gotta be some big mystery behind what's happening here, so it's really important to check inside the hatch. Meanwhile, Harley tells Jack that he didn't like Kate going alone with Locke at all, because Locke has a way of easily twisting people's minds. But Jack was more worried about why Harley was trying to stop the dynamite. Finally, Harley is forced to spill the whole story about those cursed numbers to Jack. Still, like the others, Jack doesn't believe there's any curse connected to those numbers. Meanwhile, back in the cave, Charlie was trying to explain to the others that the black smoke in the jungle was actually one of Daniel's tricks, but no one fully trusted what he said. Just then, Senan suddenly realized his dog Vincent was missing. He had left Vincent in someone's care before leaving World Island, so Senan was determined not to lose trust. Even though it was late at night, he went out into the jungle looking for Vincent. Sed had no choice but to come along, and after a while they spotted Vincent. But instead of coming to them, the dog ran deeper into the jungle toward the. Both of them start chasing him, but while running through the dark, Senan and Seed get separated. It's pitch black all around and the rustling of leaves really scares Senan. Just then, when he looks ahead, he's startled. He sees Walt standing right in front of him. Walt is soaking wet like he just came out of the water. Walt signals him to be quiet and whispers not to make a sound. Senan, confused, steps closer. But just then Seed shows up, and when Senan looks ahead again, he sees Walt. He disappeared, there was no one there. Later, back in the cave, Sen tells everyone he saw World, but Seed doesn't believe his story about the music. He just brushes it off, saying it's all in Sen's head. Meanwhile, the rest of the people in the camp start getting uneasy again. Just then Jack, Kate, Locke, and Hurley come back. Jack stands on a high spot and explains everything about the hatch. He says they did manage to open the hatch door, but it's not ready to use yet. Hearing this, arguments break out among the people again. Some of them still side with the others. Some were shaking with fear, while others just didn't believe any of it. Jack calmed everyone down and said, "Let have others on the island, and even if not, as long as we stick together, we can face any danger." His words helped ease everyone's fear a bit, and the camp settled down, but Locke's mind was elsewhere. His only goal was to uncover the mystery inside the hatch. He packed some ropes and other essentials and set off alone toward the hatch again. Meanwhile, Kate came over and praised Jack's leadership. She said the most important thing this island needs right now is hope. And Jack. That's what stirred everyone's feelings. Kate said she had never seen Jack like this before. Hearing that, old memories came flooding back to Jack. When he first became a doctor, a woman patient came to him. She had suffered severe spinal injuries in a car accident. Back then, Jack was a completely different person. He only believed in facts and didn't like giving people false hope. When the girl asked if she would ever get better, Jack bluntly told her the chances were very slim. He gave her no comfort, but before the surgery when Jack talked about dreams for the future, suddenly music just seemed to come out of his mouth as he promised he'd fix things for her. That first time giving someone hope felt like it changed everything. Over time, that woman became Jack's wife. Now, so many years later, when Kate was praising him, Jack remembered those old days and realized that sometimes giving a patient hope works even better than medicine. But Kate hadn't just come to praise Jack. She had something else just as important to tell him. She said that she too. Locke is about to go down into the hatch with Kate. He wants to see with his own eyes what's really hiding beneath that mysterious road. Hearing this, Jack isn't happy at all, and you can see the worry on his face, but he doesn't stop Kate. With Kate coming along, Locke's job gets a lot easier. Locke ties a rope tightly around Kate's waist. He thinks Kate is the best person for going down since she's lighter. Everything's set. Slowly, Kate starts descending into the hatch. Locke holds the rope tight from above, but suddenly the tree they were on couldn't hold Kate's weight and snapped. For a moment, things got really dangerous. If Locke hadn't grabbed the rope with all his strength, Kate would have fallen straight down. Somehow, Locke managed to handle the situation. But in the rush, Kate's flashlight slipped from her hand and fell down. When Kate tried to pick it up, something strange happened in the darkness below. It felt like someone opened a door down there and then quickly shut it again. Kate's chest started heaving, and she got scared, yelling at Locke to pull her up right away. But before Locke could do anything, a sharp beam of light shot up from deep inside the hatch. The light hit Locke directly, and in the next moment, the sound of the cutter completely stopped. Everything around fell utterly silent. No screams, no movement, just this strange, eerie quiet. Locke, standing above, froze for a moment, but there was no time to wait any longer. He quickly prepared another rope and decided to climb down into the hatch himself. Once he reached the bottom, he moved forward very carefully. The deeper he went, the more he felt that the place wasn't just some old bunker. There was clear proof someone had been living here for a long time. All around were various machines, electric devices, and used stuff lying around. It seemed like someone had been staying here alone for years. To avoid making noise with his footsteps, Locke took off his shoes and started walking slowly on his bare feet. After a while, he saw Kate lying unconscious on the ground. As he moved toward her, he suddenly froze, hearing a sound from behind. There was a man standing behind Locke, aiming his gun right at him. He was here. What's going on, and why has he been stuck inside this hatch for so long? We'll find out the answer soon. He orders Locke to put down all his knives and weapons. Then he asks the two why they've come here. Seeing the gun, there was no point in showing bravery. So Kate quickly tries to explain that they mean no harm. She says their plane crashed here 44 days ago, and they've been stranded on this island ever since. The moment he hears 44 days, a strange look comes over the guy's face, like there's something behind that number. There was a hidden meaning behind it. Just by looking at the walls and stuff around, it was clear he'd been living there for a long time. After thinking for a bit, he ordered Kate to tie Locke up. But then Locke suddenly flipped the whole situation upside down. He started telling the guy that Kate was actually a runaway prisoner, and that he himself was just a regular manager at a cardboard box factory, someone who wouldn't hurt a soul. Hearing Locke out, Kate glared at him angrily, but Locke kept a straight face, totally honest. The guy in front seemed to really get what Locke was saying. He didn't know the truth, so he believed Locke. Now he changes his orders and tells Locke to tie up Kate. Locke pretends to go along with it, but when he's tying Kate up, he secretly slips a small knife into her pocket. That's when you realize Locke's whole act was actually a pre-planned trick. Then Kate gets locked up in a small dark room. Meanwhile, Jack is getting really restless in the cave. Time is passing, but Kate still hasn't come back. Jack tries to convince himself, but he knows Kate often jumps into danger without thinking. Maybe that's why. Kate couldn't just sit quietly while she was in trouble. Harley tried his best to stop her, but Jack wasn't in the mood to listen to anyone. The thought of Kate being in danger was driving him crazy. He grabbed his bag and weapons and headed straight for the hatch. When he got there, he saw no one around, just a rope hanging inside the hatch. Without wasting a second, Jack started climbing down the rope. Meanwhile, Kate, trapped in a tight grip, kept trying to untie the rope binding her hands. Finally, the hidden knife in the lock came in handy. He comes over and frees himself from the rope bindings. Then, as he presses a button on the wall, the lights turn on, revealing an astonishing sight before him. This wasn't a prison at all. Instead, it was a huge storeroom packed full of food supplies. All around were various kinds of rations neatly arranged. and above a ventilation shaft was visible. At first, Ket wanted to run away. But after being hungry for so long, seeing so much food right in front of him was overwhelming, and he couldn't resist. He realizes he needs to regain his strength first, so he starts eating some of the food before moving forward. No matter what, he can fight. Meanwhile, that stranger kept firing question after question at Locke. He wanted to know how many people survived after the crash, got sick, how many died, and how everyone's doing now. Locke was surprised by the questions because they seemed really strange to him. He said everyone else is fine and so far they're all surviving pretty well. Hearing this, the guy looked shocked, like he never expected that. Just then, that weird ticking sound started again from the speaker in the room. As soon as it started, the guy's face turned serious in an instant, and without wasting a second, he grabbed Locke and rushed toward the computer room. There was a really old computer there, and on the wall in front of it, a countdown was running backwards. The guy ordered Locke to sit in front of the computer and told him to type in some special numbers. Locke, not fully understanding, started typing the numbers on the screen. That's when we realized these were the very mysterious numbers that had completely changed Harley's life. The numbers were finished being typed. The guy panics for a moment and hits the execute button. The next second, the countdown running backward on the wall stops and resets back to 108 minutes. At the same time, the ticking sound also stops. Right then, the guy breathes a sigh of relief and a small smile appears on his face, like a huge disaster on this journey has been avoided. But just then, Jack's voice is heard from afar, and the guy immediately gets on alert. He grabs Locke and takes him over to a camera system. This is the first time we see that. Hear how this setup works. After a moment, Jack's face starts to show clearly on the screen. The guy watches Jack's every move and he even notices that Jack's got a gun in his hand. To keep things under control, he turns up the music loud and warns Locke to stay quiet. Meanwhile, Jack is moving really carefully inside, checking every room thoroughly. His biggest worry was about Kate. Meanwhile, Kate finishes eating and crawls through the ventilation shaft, moving forward too. Jack hears the sound of a voice and tries to warn him about the danger, but Kate's voice gets drowned out by the loud music, so Jack can't hear a thing. After a while, Locke is suddenly brought in front of Jack. From the outside, it looks like Locke is standing there alone, but actually the guy is hiding right behind Locke with a gun pressed against his neck. Jack's eyes immediately lock onto Locke and he starts asking about Kate right away. He just wants to know where she is and if she's okay. But Locke. Terrified, Jack couldn't bring himself to say anything. Just then, the guy hiding behind gave Jack an order to put his gun down on the ground. When Jack hesitated a bit, the guy fired a shot to scare him. The loud bang echoed throughout the bunker. Then the guy moved to stand behind Locke, using him as a shield. Right at that moment, Jack's eyes finally landed on the man's face. For a moment he stared closely, and suddenly it hit him. He'd seen that face before. This was the same guy who. He met him years ago while jogging in the morning. In this part of the story, the guy Jack and Locke met is named Desmond, and as the story goes on, this character will play a much bigger role. But for now, let's leave the bunker story aside and go to those people stranded out at sea, whose situation right now is nothing less than a terrible nightmare. A group of unknown people have taken Walt with them. Their raft is completely destroyed, and all around there's nothing but endless water as far as the eye can see. Michael was struggling in the water, helplessly screaming Walt's name over and over. The image of his son being taken right before his eyes was still haunting him. Meanwhile, Sawyer was trying to gather the surviving pieces of the raft from the fire and wreckage. Somehow, he managed to find a big part of it and made his way to Michael. By then, Michael was in such bad shape he was almost drowning. Sawyer pulled him out of the water and started giving him mouth-to-mouth to save him. He started calling out. Right then, Michael came to his senses, and as soon as he regained consciousness, he began shouting Walter's name again. He knew well that from so far away his son probably wouldn't hear him, but he didn't want to stop. After yelling for a long time, Michael's voice finally gave out, and exhausted, he quietly slumped down on the raft. That's when he remembered about the pig's genie, but so far there had been no sign of it. Michael's mind was in such a state that he didn't have the mental strength to think about anything else. All his anger was now aimed at the pig. Michael kept blaming Sawyer for Walter's kidnapping and the whole mess. According to Michael, if Sawyer hadn't lit that flare or signal, none of this disaster would have happened. This sparked a heated argument between the two. Michael kept putting the blame on Sawyer, but Sawyer wasn't about to stay quiet. He fired back, saying he didn't decide to light the flare alone. Michael agreed to it too. Their fight might have gotten worse, but right then. Their attention was caught by something floating in the sea. They were looking at a shark. During the last fight, Saw had gotten a bullet wound on his shoulder, and because of the bleeding, the shark was drawn to their scent. But Michael kept blaming Saw, and hearing this really pissed Saw off. He reminded Michael that he'd taken that bullet while trying to save Walt. And now, instead of thanking him, Michael was acting like he was the problem. Finally fed up, Saw broke away from that part of the vessel, and struggling, climbed onto a small piece of debris floating nearby. The danger from the shark wasn't over yet, so Saw decided he had to get the bullet out of his shoulder right away. Without any help, he started digging the bullet out with his own fingers. Michael tried to calm things down, but the way he spoke was really harsh and you could hear the anger in his voice. So Saw didn't listen to a word he said. Wriggling in pain, he finally managed to pull the bullet out of his body. After that, the two of them lay quietly on the raft in the middle of the sea for a good while. In a fit of anger, Michael splashed water at Saw. But then, while trying to do it by mistake, Saw accidentally pushed a small piece of Michael's boat even further away. So Saw had to paddle back to Michael's boat again. Even after he got there, Michael didn't stop nagging him. Then Saw noticed a few big bamboo drums floating a little way off, which looked way stronger than this broken boat. Saw was already getting annoyed with Michael's constant complaining, so he decided to paddle over to those drums. But because of the waves and the pain from his injuries, the speed dropped a lot. Right then, trouble popped up again. Another part of the broken raft snapped off and Saw fell straight into the sea. Michael quickly reached out to pull him up, but by then Saw had already realized the truth. He could see that this broken raft could barely hold the weight of one person. If both of them tried to stay on it together, they'd both end up drowning. So he handed his pistol to Michael and decided to head over to that bamboo drum farther away. Before leaving, Michael was told straight up, if the shark comes near, don't hesitate, just start shooting right away. Then Saw kept moving forward through the sea. Exactly what he feared happened and the shark started chasing him again. Danger was rising every second. Just then, at the perfect moment, Michael raised his pistol and fired several shots in quick succession. Finally, the biggest threat, the shark, was dead. But amid the noise of the gunfire and the chaos around, Saw suddenly disappeared from sight. For a moment, Michael feared he might have lost Saw forever. He failed. Panicking, he started searching all around at lightning speed, but the relief was that Saw was alive. After quite a struggle, both of them managed to reach those sturdy bamboo drums and somehow climbed up on them. After a lot of tussling, they finally got a chance to sit down peacefully for a while. As the night grew darker, sitting amidst the sounds of the sea, Michael's mind began flooding with memories of the old days. Losing World had completely shattered him from the inside. Maybe that's why he had been